Well, hello everyone again, and welcome to Tandridge Golf Club. Here I am on the golf course, in the lockdown, getting my hour of exercise, walking around, not hitting any shots, but I am walking around. And today I'm going to show you how to play the tee shot at hole number 2. It's a question that I've had in from Tim Draper. Thanks very much for your question, Tim. And that question says this: how do we hit the fade down number 2 that we need without hitting your ball on the A25? Great question, and as you can hear, I'm fairly close to the road right now. So let's have a look and see what to do. And first of all, remember this before you take on any decision on shape that you may like to play on a hole. You must assess what's down there first of all. So we're going to have a look at that now, see how far it is to run out of fairway, and then I can make a realistic decision. I'm on the back tee here. The hole is 454 yards. We know it's long, it's a tough hole, and to get the perfect tee shot away will really set me up to make that par, which if I can make par, I can walk very happily to the third tee and carry on my round. So the assessment I'm going to make from this back tee now is how far is it to the end of the run out on the line of the big tree. That's a great line for me, so let's check that out now. It's 280 yards to the tree, and I know the tree is probably at least 10 yards into the rough. So 270 yards, that's my run out. So ask yourself the question, how far can you hit it with your driver? And if you hit your ball 250, 60 or 70, you're absolutely fine. And you would like to set up on this tee to hit a much straighter shot than you really think you need. Of course, if you can actually get the ball to fade a little bit, then that'll be advantageous to the way it runs down the contours of the fairway. But realistically, you don't need to get yourself into a setup where you're a little bit uncomfortable. Try to play that straighter shot. So which type of setup are we going to adopt? Let's have a look at that now. I've set my driver up along my parallel lines used by my sticks here. The club face looks down the outside line. We're going to call these train tracks. This is where the club face looks, and this is the line that my feet, hips and shoulders will be parallel to. So, club face in position, ball position is correct, line across my toes, hips and shoulders, nice and parallel, and from there I can make my swing where I hit the ball with a neutral swing path, nice and straight, and get the ball down the fairway. So there's one very important part of what I've just done, and the secret to where we're actually going to go with fades or draws is the club face, the position of the club face at address, and also the alignment of the feet, hips and shoulders. So remember this one simple rule: point the club face at where you want the ball to finish. Remember that, really simple. Point the club face at where you want the ball to finish. Point the line of your toes, hips and shoulders at where you want the ball to start. Two simple things to think about, and that's how you're going to learn to shape lots and lots of different shots and how much shape you provide. So let's have a look at that now in a fade setup for hole 2 and see how we get on. My explanation there was fairly straightforward. Point the club face where you want the ball to finish, and point your line across your toes, hips and shoulders at where you want the ball to start. So on my little grid on the ground here, what actually needs to change? Well, I can tell you one thing now. Does the position of the club face need to change? Well, at the moment, my ball to target line here, that's actually pointing at the big tree. So I don't want my ball to finish on my big tree. I actually want the ball to finish further round to the right. So let's get brave and move that club face position to where it actually should be. Okay, how about that for a position? This will certainly look as if it's actually pointing in the right-hand trees, but remember, if all those trees weren't there and I just drove the ball, that's exactly where I'd want the ball to land, round the corner, because my driver will go further than 270 yards, especially with some run. So the tree is the danger for me, and it's how to avoid it. So I've changed the club face position there a little bit. That's more round to the right, and it's up to me to be brave when I walk up to that. So where do I want the ball to actually start? So this now is represented by the internal stick here. How am I going to do that? Let's have a look. So now I want my ball to start just inside the line of the trees on the left. So let's now get the stick. So now I've moved the stick so that the line of my toes, hips and shoulders is pointing just inside the line of that tree, because it's actually a very narrow chute. It's difficult to get through, but as long as you know where it's going to start. Now what I don't want to do in this situation is to overdo this, and that's what lots and lots of you are going to do, and we're pointing too far left with the feet, and all of a sudden crack, and we've actually hit the trees on the left hand side, hole ruined. So let's get that back to a more sensible position. Now I can change the position of my stick to create a 90-degree ball position off my left heel, exactly the same. If you want the ball to fade a bit more, it's actually advantageous as well to have the ball slightly even more forward. So I could do that by setting up with my left foot on this side of the stick, or for normal setup I'll get on this side. But if you're finding it hard to start the ball in the right line, move the ball position forward slightly and that will help. So let's have a look and see what that position looks like now. I'm going to stand on this side of the stick, and now have a look how I attempt to copy the line of the first stick with my feet, hips and my shoulders. And there we are. But now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rotate the club face so it now appears to look in a line which is pointing down that outside stick or the outside train track. Take a normal grip on the golf club, and there we have it there. Okay, so I found the perfect setup. As you can see, the club face is pointing in a different position to the line of the swing, or the line of my alignment. So let's have a look and see what happens from that position in a swing. Okay, so let's go on to swing now, and there's one immediate danger which we'll go through straight away. We're a little bit concerned that the club face is pointing to the right, and you haven't practiced on the driving range. And if you haven't done that, if you haven't practiced it on the range, got used to what happens here, you're going to find it very difficult to do on the course. So practicing on the range is very important, and you can tinker around with your setup on the range, and that practice is for free. You can just hit them down there. You don't have to judge where the ball lands, but how do you learn how to shape the ball? So here, the big danger, I've got my setup, club face is pointing down the right hand stick. I'm in a great position, ready to go, and I take the club back on the line of this outside stick. Now that's already caused me huge problems, because that's the A25 swing. I've opened the club face at address versus the alignment of my stance, but I've made a swing path which is for the club face, not a swing path which is now in line with my body alignment, because remember, that's where I want the ball to start. So the reason you hit it on the A25 is because the club is coming from inside too much with an open club face. That's big, big danger. And out there it goes. So what should that backswing look like? Let's have a look. I'm set up. I've got myself into position. The club face is looking down the outside stick. But now I'm going to take the golf club back along the line of the inside stick. It's much steeper. So now the starting point is much more in line with this inside stick, and that's what's going to start the ball down that left hand side. Let's have a look at it in a full speed swing, and then I'll get one which I'll slow down as well. So let's have a look at the first one. Set up the club face where you want the ball to land. Feet, hips and shoulders parallel with where we want the ball to start. Out the club goes, swinging across. Now it's started down the left and it's curving in the air, running down the contours of the fairway. Absolutely perfect. Okay, let's have a look at that in slow motion to see exactly what the path of that swing did and how it allowed me to start the ball on the right line. Go back into setup. Well, I'd have loved to have seen those two shots flying in the air. I felt the swings were really nice, got me on the right track with the club face in a great position. Saw the ball start left on line, then fade round the corner. It's landed out of sight virtually and bounded down the fairway, and it's left me a much, much shorter shot. I hope that's cleared up for everyone. The fade off this tee and how we play it without getting ourselves into trouble. But remember, this is not just a video that tells you how to play the shot down this hole. It can tell you how to play the shots down lots and lots of holes. And remember, the amount of differential between the club face position and where your feet are pointing, that's how much spin you'll put on the ball. That's how we determine. So small fades, small changes. Big shapes, big changes. That's the way we need to go about it. Now, of course, we can also, as I've shown you earlier on in the video, we can also hit straight shots from a great setup, and then we can also hit draw shots from those setups. And I had a question in on how to hit that draw shot off the tee as well. So using the same formula, what we'll do now is we'll go to a hole where I know it's absolutely imperative to hit a little bit of draw and to get yourself staying in a fairway which slopes from left to right. Tim, thanks for your question on hole 2. Now we're going to move to another hole and I'll show you what goes on with the draw. So here we are. We've moved from the second and now we're on the 6th tee. 359 yards, par 4, not too long, but a tee shot that needs to be accurately played to leave you an easier second shot to the green, and the fairway slopes considerably from left to right. So we have options. Let's see if we can spot anything that I've done wrong in this first setup. Club face is pointing down the middle of the fairway. Feet, hips and shoulders, that's what I did for my fade swing. Swing along the line of my feet, and now I've started the ball down the left and it's fading, lands on the contours, and it runs straight right into the rough or trees. So spot the deliberate mistake. I've set up for completely the wrong shape, and that's something now that I want you to really be conscious of on every single hole that you play, because Golfers are generally stereotypical in the way they set up, but we can't be like that. We have to adapt to every single shot that we're playing, and I'm taking you now into a much more advanced way of the way that you think about the game and think about the shots that you play. Like I mentioned, about one shot at a time. How do you play that one shot to the best of your ability? Well, I can tell you now that on this particular shot, it's not a fade. It needs to be a draw, and we need to understand how we're going to play that shot and how to set up for it. I've already lasered the bunkers, and I know that my 3-iron is a sensible club to hit down this hole. If it's downwind or faster than it is at the moment, then to be honest, a 4-iron or even a 5-iron at sometimes may be enough. But today it's 3-iron. I'm happy with the club choice. Now let's look at the setup that we're going to create to actually hit a draw, which when it lands works against the camber, and then that keeps the ball on the fairway. I don't want to hit fade down this hole, because when it lands, it's bouncing with the camber, it's taken by its spin, and off it goes down into the rough. So let's have a look. Outside train track, there it is there. I want the ball to finish in the middle of the fairway, so that's exactly where I'm going to point the club face. But now I want the ball to start more to the right as opposed to more to the left. So now let's move this stick into this position here. As you can see, this one is now marginally to the right, but the key is that it's to the right of the club face. I'll reset my ball position, and now I'm set ready to go to play that draw shot down 6 that I need. And it's as simple as this. Remember the formula. Club face points where you want the ball to finish. Feet, hips and shoulders point where you want the ball to start. There's loads of room on the right hand side here for my ball to start down the right and draw back into the middle of the fairway. Let's have a look and see what that looks like on a swing. I set myself up with my ball on my left heel for my 3-iron. Club face is pointing down the target, and I take my neutral grip. Now I'm going to close my feet so they're much more in line with the stick on the ground. And that's enough for me to create a small draw, because remember, I'm going to take the club back along the line of the inside stick, not the outside stick. So this club face is effectively slightly closed to the path of the swing on this inside track. Set up, club square, feet, hips and shoulders in line with that inside club on the ground. It's an inside swing, and I've created that little bit of draw. Ball started down the right hand side and curved to the right. All I'm doing is imparting spin on the ball by using different swing paths, because my setup is changing. So remember that. Yes, all very well me saying that this is the way to do it. You have to have decent technique, you know, and neutral positions for this to work. And if you haven't got those, then these are things that you should be doing when you're having your own individual lessons at the club. The most important thing today is to remember, you are not a stereotypical golfer, and your ball position must change all the time. Your alignment must change all the time because of the different shots that you're trying to hit. Let's have a look at that one in slow motion again from that setup. This is the one where I created that draw shot down number 6, landing and running against the camber to keep it on the fairway. That's how clever it's going to be, and it's going to leave me in a great position to hit from the fairway up onto the green. Ball position left heel, feet, hips and shoulders parallel to the inside stick. You can see that there. Club face looking down the middle of the fairway. You have to put the ultimate trust in yourself to be able to pull these shots, whether it's on number 6 or number 2. Hope you've enjoyed today's video on how to shape the ball left to right and right to left for different holes. Thanks very much for your questions. Keep them coming, because I need lots and lots of things to do while we're all stuck at home. Have a great day, everyone. See you soon.